Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Rustic Spirit podcast. I have a special guest tonight, one of my dear friends, and I am so excited to have him on. I've had him on before in the past in another podcast I had, and it's going to be a good night. It really is going to be a good night. But first, we're going to kind of do some of the housekeeping stuff and talk about our sponsors. So I know we saw in the little intro video, we have hello, Danielle. Danielle, speaking of which, we have Unique Paranormal 1.5 is a sponsor of ours. They are a paranormal team. Some great things are happening with them. There's a lot of great things get ready to come up. Keep watching their page and my page for these things that are coming up that they're going to be doing. They are just amazing people all together. And I don't know, they're just very close to my heart. And then we have Moon Mist Crystals, who they are just this wonderful little shop. And if you've ever been to the Penthurst Paracon, they're not far from there. So next year when you go to Penthurst, you should check them out. Or even before then, if you're in the area. It's a small little quaint shop, and the energy in there is just amazing. The owner is amazing. You need to go check it out as well. And then we still have our t-shirts and hoodies, long sleeves and hoodies I'm featuring right now because it is getting to be hoodie weather, right? Who has been waiting for hoodie weather for like the longest time? I know I have. So we have that. And on the front, it has the Rustic Spirit logo. And then on the back, it says, be the light in someone's darkness. And we also have our upcoming events. The first ones are gone. But this weekend, September 13th and 14th. Actually, it's 14th and 15th. I wrote this on here wrong. It's the West Virginia State Pen Paracon. That is, John is actually going, our guest tonight is actually going to be there with us. It's going to be an amazing little Paracon at the West Virginia State Penitentiary. So definitely come and check us out there. So without further ado, and I always pronounce his name wrong, so I'm going to have him correct me when he comes on, because I think I've been saying his name wrong for the longest time. I always call him John Covey, but I think it's Covey. But here we go. I think it is. It's Covey. So I'm going to bring him on, and here he is. So you are muted. There you go. So it is Covey, and I've been calling.
Nope.
How you needed to correct?
Nope, you were right the whole time.
I'm the right one. Everybody
Yes.
calls it. I thought I was right. But I hear people call you Covey, and I'm like, wait a second, I thought it was Covey. And okay.
Nope, it is Covey. I don't really correct everybody because you know what? It works. Whichever way it works.
Hey, as long as they don't call you late to dinner, right?
Yeah. That's funny.
So we have Amanda Tashner. She says, hello, everyone. And then my good buddy Russ is in here. Hi, Russ. And then Russ says, love this man. Love you both. We love you too,
Aww.
Russ.
Love you too.
So grateful to have you here. So thank you for being flexible tonight. I didn't realize someone made a comment about it being some big thing on TV, which we're not going to talk about because we don't do that on this show, that everybody's probably going to watch at 9 p.m. So thanks for adjusting.
Absolutely.
I literally walked in the door 10 minutes ago, though. So forgive me if my brain doesn't work correctly for the next 10 minutes until I get to my calm state. So Shauna, you just missed your plug, Shauna. I know that you and Danielle are both in here. And then, oh, look who's here. Hey, you two.
Hello, Mom.
That's Mama.
She'll be at West Virginia too.
She is. And you both are speaking at West Virginia. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I know it's very exciting. What time are you guys speaking at the West Virginia Penn?
I'm going to be honest with you. I do not remember the exact time, which is terrible of me, but I believe it is in the afternoon.
Okay. Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday. I know Saturday, that's when we have our guest speaking time. And then there is a metaphysical panel that's going on. I believe Mom is on as well, but I think that's also Saturday.
Yes, so. That is. I don't remember the times either. I'm horrible. I should have put the little thing with the times up. I'm at 2. I know that, and the metaphysical panel is after me. So I go on the metaphysical panel right after that. So we'll just wait and see. Either way, we don't need times. You guys are going to come and for the whole day. It's going
The
to
whole
be
day, the whole weekend. It'll be fun.
Can you, I know we had a little blurb on here about who you are and what you do, but I like to hear your voice. So can you tell everyone who you are and what you do?
So, hello, everyone. Thank you very much for coming and hanging out with us tonight. I love coming on Stacey's show and kind of showcasing, our side, which is the more metaphysical side, not just the paranormal. But again, my name is Medium John Covey. I am an international psychic medium. I've done readings for individuals, private and public, all across the world, thankfully. And I have been investigating the paranormal since 2010 when I co founded one of the first national organizations that was created and ran by teens for paranormal research with both my mom and a couple of friends from school. And kind of diving deeper into doing more metaphysical work around 2016. And then 2018 is when I launched my business, if you will, in doing private readings and readings at events and kind of showcasing and learning more about my gifts. So, yeah.
And you haven't. I've known you for what, a little, maybe 2 years now?
I think so.
Close to it. I don't even remember when we first met.
I
Isn't
don't
that
believe,
weird?
I know. I think that it was at I don't know if it was the Gettysburg Bash 2 years ago or if it was before that. I'm not honestly familiar, which again, I feel bad.
I know, but I feel like I've known you forever.
Hmm.
Like, I feel like we have a special connection. I don't know if you feel that way or not, but I do feel like we have this special, like, spiritual connection. And I feel like, oh, it's just John. He's been in my life forever. Like, he
Yeah, I
just
mean,
all of a sudden popped up in my life and you've just always been there.
yeah. No, it's really interesting when you have individuals who are like that because it's like with the whole saying, you have an old friend with, back when you were a kid, it's like you can pick right up right where you left off the last time you saw each other, and it's like nothing, nothing ever really happened in between, which is always a good thing. So I appreciate that.
Yes. And I think we got 2 years ago at the bash, we got closer because we did the Bigfoot
Hmm.
excursion.
We went watching.
We went squatching. That I can't even I can't laugh with it because it was with Steve Dills
Yep.
and Chris Vaughn. I always
Hmm.
mess up his name too. Um, and I feel like they're very comedic and they bring comedy to everything they do. And that was they did an episode called Eerie Encounters,
Hmm.
and we are both on that episode, and that's on YouTube. I
Yeah.
should have put all these links in so people could go
It's okay.
and
It's
find
on
us.
YouTube and Roku TV, and I think it's also on Paraflix, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is also on Paraflix, I believe. So Roxanne says, "Why is the village so thin now? I was at Gettysburg Bash 3 years ago, but she meant Vale. The
Yeah.
Vale is so thin." You know what? And that's probably a good one to start out on. Like, I don't know if you've been feeling it, but I do feel like the Vale is thinning. Do you feel that way? Like the connection with spiritual world, or do you feel like, what is your thoughts on that?
See, it's weird because I do notice, of course. Okay, think about it like this: energy is a big component in our everyday lives, no matter if it's physical, or spiritual, or of course, have the more scientific terms, I guess, if you will. But when we get towards September, October, of course, those are like the bigger, spookier months. So that's kind of where everybody's minds are. And I personally feel that with the energy that people are putting out because they're getting excited, because a lot of people's favorite holiday is Halloween, including myself, you have that energy of the excitement. And so it's heightened, if you will. So there's going to be a more sensitivity to it. And so when we are putting that energy out, think about on the other side, they're in a way kind of absorb that energy, and therefore it's going to increase potential activity. And so when the veil is thinning, I think it's just because there's a little bit of an increase of energy because of the excitement that's in the air. What do you think?
I like that because of that, and actually that energy piece, because you do start. It's almost like that almost manifesting it
Yeah.
with our energetic thoughts and
Hmm.
bringing it out there. Yeah, that's a good point of view of that. Like, and it seems like we are, maybe everybody says that we tend to get in with the like tribes, and a lot of us metaphysical and like-minded creatures will start to come together. And but I'm wondering if it's the same kind of concept. Are we
Yeah.
putting that energy out there when we start to become more spiritual and we get in tune with some of our gifts? We're resonating this way, so it starts coming towards us and just resonates with us, because like
Mhm.
attracts like. I mean, that's scientific.
Exactly.
We all done that experiment in high school, or that, what is it, that the ball that catches all the little magnets or something like
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like we do. We tend to definitely go in that direction, um, and there's some of us out there that don't, that tend to like, where's my tribe? I need my tribe, and wondering if it's just that they're plasma ball. That's right. Roxanne said it's plasma ball. I knew it was
Yeah.
called something. That the ones that are saying that they can't find their tribe, or they're stuck in without people around them that are like-minded. And I wonder if it is just the fact that they're not putting that out there enough,
Yeah.
and wanting it.
The mind is a very powerful tool that we sometimes take for granted sometimes. And I think that when we are in the mindset of, okay, actually, Jereme Leonard, I don't know if you're familiar with him, if you've ever met him.
Hmm.
He put this analogy in his demonology course: is the energy that you put out is the energy you're obviously going to get back. It's a law of attraction. But you think about when you stub your toe in the morning, when you're first getting up out of bed, on the corner of the bed, you stub your toe, and then you're just miserable and blah, 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 blah. The mind is such a powerful tool that if you adapt and you focus on the negativity, which I know I am big with this personally, sometimes it really gets the best of me. I know probably my mom and both Amanda are laughing at me. That sometimes, obviously, when you start off in a bad mindset, your day is going to oftentimes carry that energy through. So when you have that sort of, mindset overall, that's going to be kind of how things are for not just your day, but if you live in it, you're stuck in it, if you will, it's going to carry over.
Exactly. It's so funny. It's like, I don't, what I do during the day, that I'm a therapist and I work with
Mhm.
kiddos with emotional disturbance. And so many of them see that so much. And then they get stuck in this cycle of just, you know, even just talking the mental health piece. But it's the same. To me, I can make the connection of the two, the mental health and the holistic and the spiritual. Like, it's all kind of one to
Right.
me, and meshes together. But it's true. Like, we tend to get stuck. How do you get unstuck?
Ooh, I will say, and again, this comes back to that mindset that we were just talking about. There are days, I'm not going to lie, I try to be as real as possible. If I'm in a bad mood, it's very hard sometimes for me to get out of that. Just
Mhm.
because, the biggest culprit of them all, inanimate objects, are what really get to me. They always fight me whenever I'm having a bad morning. It's like everything's fighting me. And so,
Like the coffee pot's not working, or
right, right. Or it's like I drop something and it's just like, so I'm just like, ah. But one of the things I guess I try to do, as people who know me, I am very big with music. And so if I'm in a very blech towards kind of mood or whatever, I will try to, either if I'm able to, like, of course, you know, um, many people will listen to music while they're showering in the morning, or, doing sort of different things. Um, I will try to put on music. Sometimes, of course, lately, probably for the past 6 months, it's been like Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks. I will put different things on that help kind of boost my mood. That way it helps lessen and remove that negative energy, because again, sound frequencies, sound healing,
Mhm.
as you practice with your singing bowls
Yes.
and with your Reiki,
Mhm.
it really does help. So that's one of the things, like one of the top things that I do. What do you like to do?
Mhm. I do yoga. And I
Okay.
use my drum and I use my sound healing. I do some days if I'm like I just don't have the energy for yoga, I sit and I just play my bowls. So I'm it resonates with me very that vibration. I mean,
Mhm.
there's science behind that too. How vibration can change our body structures. Have you seen that experiment with water? And they have like 2 cups of water and one they say curse words and bad things to it and like you're just yelling at it and all this like negative energy stuff. And then the other one they have gratitude and love and kindness and then they freeze both of them and then study the crystals. And the one over here that they gave all those bad words to, the crystals aren't formed in a pretty like in a pretty way, but the other ones have these perfect crystals. So,
I
because
have
water holds
never
energy.
I've never seen that, but that makes complete sense.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't it? It goes like it's the vibration of stuff. I'm wondering, is it the words that we're using, or is it how we're using the words? Like,
Right.
are we? Because when we say like "I hate you," "You're ugly," whatever, we're using a different vibration of a voice
Mhm.
than when we say, "Hey, you're so pretty." Even just me explaining it, I was saying my words differently.
And,
So is it that
and in
vibration?
and I think an analogy that a lot of others can use with this is, when you have, you know, your dog at home, depending on your tone, if you're like, "Are you just a stinky boy?" Or, "Are you just a pretty girl?" Like, it depends on your tone. So,
Hmm.
depending on whatever type of words that you use, I think it comes down to, like you said, the tone.
Is it the tone or is it the words? That's a new experiment. We should do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You and I should do an experiment where we're do one like the original experiment where we're talking to the water, just and using the different tones. But then we're talking to the water and saying, "Oh, you're so ugly," and you're so, like
Yeah.
in a different tone. And I wonder if it would come up. Roxanne, it's called cellular
Yep.
memory.
Yep.
Water holds memory. Um, but yeah, I do like that sound healing is sound vibration. I mean, they've used that for ages,
Yeah.
hundreds of years
Yes.
as practice before they even, I think, started using herbs. Before we started talking, I believe we started dancing. I believe we started playing drums. We started with, I think that's how our original, if don't get me wrong, with someone history in here, but didn't our communication come from the form of like drumming and music before
I
we
think
formed
that
words?
it came, and again, I'm not obviously entirely sure with this, but it makes sense that it would come from different tones and different sounds that um we as humans make. And of course, before language was formed, if you have different tones, different sounds, different ways, because everybody sounds different. That's our own, uniqueness, is that of course siblings have similar, makeup and so on and so forth. Each person is still individually different. And so when you have different tones, you have different voices, different frequencies, different this and different that. I think that's kind of what's really developed. And then when you have individuals who, are, either more gifted with a more musical voice, more singing voice, or, what have you, I think that's kind of where that developed more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that actually it does. It does to me. I don't know if it makes sense to everybody else, but we're a little woo woo anyway.
There you go.
Um, so Sean Alexander's in here. Hey guys, that is
What's
the
up?
one of the I guess creators of and I can't think of the word. I don't want to say producer, but the one that's running the
The promoter.
West Virginia promoter. That's the word I was looking for. I knew it started with a P. The running the West Virginia State Penitentiary Paracon. That's a tongue
Mhm.
twister.
I know.
So yes,
But no,
I think believe he's still looking for vendors. If I think he's got a couple spots left. If anybody's, correct me if
yes,
I'm wrong, Tom, but
if you are interested in vending, this is the first year for the horror and paracon that they're doing at West Virginia. Um, but it is definitely an event, and they've had the paracon in previous years, and I've been at the last two of them. But
Okay.
this year I'm very excited because, of course, I'm a horror fan. So, get
Me
to
too.
tie in and relaunch a new era, if you will, of the Paracon there. So it'll be fun.
So I'm wrong because he says John speaks at 2 p.m. Saturday. I don't know when I
Okay.
thought I was 2 p.m. Maybe I'm 1. I don't know. Or maybe I'm right after you. Maybe it's 2:30. Maybe they're half an hour slots. I don't know. So we didn't know. I don't know if you were on here, Sean, earlier when we were talking about, we have no idea what time we're speaking and what time we're like, just come for the whole day.
Yeah. It'll be fun. Either way, like I'm excited for it. Now I don't believe they are doing daytime tours or anything like that during the convention, like during the event, but they do have the nighttime investigations, that they're doing. Saturday night, I believe, is sold out. I think Friday is either just about to be sold out if I saw the last
It's
update.
close. I'm looking right now. There's only a couple left for Friday, but I think they still are doing the daytime tours.
Oh, good. Good. So
According to
yeah,
the website. And that's what I
if
was thinking.
you're
I know we're not going to do an investigation, John. We should go do a daytime tour.
I will tell you, there is a certain part that I don't want to give a whole lot of information away because there's a lot that I picked up intuitively.
Hmm.
There's a certain spot where I wasn't expecting to use this Claire, and it caught me off guard, and I knew about it way before. Gotta love it. Um, I used that way before, realizing exactly what the room and what that space was. And I would be interested to see what you possibly get if you work with that Claire a little bit. But I don't want to say what Claire because I don't want to give it away. So, but it's fun. Oh, you're muted.
Am
There
I
you go.
muted now? She was
Nope.
talking, so I muted my thing and I forgot.
You're good.
I've actually never been inside. I've been on the grounds, and I'm actually very excited to get inside. So I would like let's try to do a daytime tour, even if it's before. Like I think they have one at 11, so maybe we can do it before we go
Yeah,
open for the
I
day or something.
wonder. I don't know if they have any on Sunday. I think Sunday would be a better day because it's right after the investigation too. Some of
Sunday
the
at 11
energy.
a.m. They have one.
Okay.
11, 12, 1, 2, 3 is sold out on Sunday, and 4. I do have to leave early Sunday. I'm not there the whole day Sunday, but um,
At the very
yeah.
least, I know that they do also book more private investigations too. So if you get a group of people together, um,
Hmm.
you can always see about scheduling like a daytime tour. That tour, when they did it, I believe this was 2 years ago, our first time that we were there, they went on a more in-depth tour than they normally do. Like they took us into certain areas that with the daytime tour they wouldn't. And
Okay.
this was, oh my gosh. And I don't know. I think Amanda, I hope she's still watching. So our friend Kathy, every time that we are together and we're doing things like that, she always has her recorder going. And she has like um, I joke around, I call it the brick. It's the oh Zoom H something da 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 da. It's like a actual like movie production sound equipment audio recorder.
Oh,
And
yes, I know what you're talking about, I think.
okay. So she was recording us as we were walking through, I believe it was the further extension past New Wall, I think is what it's called, or at least the new block. It was past that, which they don't normally take everybody there. And we were walking through, and there was this loud, like, slam that happened, and you turn around, and there was a piece of the ceiling that fell and went right into the shower area that's right in the cell block.
Oh,
And
wow.
at the same time, Kathy got a voice like, don't go there, or like, don't go in there, or like, don't go near, or something like where that fell. So, like, it was warning her to not go into that area, probably to try to help protect her, which normally you wouldn't expect that sort of thing inside of a penitentiary, which was nice. It was pleasant. But no, I've been trying to convince her to put all of her recordings into a either a YouTube video or to do something so she can have the files and so we can show it there. But yeah, this, if you've never been inside of West Virginia Penitentiary, it is like a little bit of a maze, but it's pretty intimidating when you are walking inside of there.
I know I've never been in, but I've been on the property. I did a couple of Sean's events that we've had. And right there at the entrance, when you come underneath, like, I guess that's the guard shack right there. Like, I keep
where the
seeing
wagon
a man,
gate
like,
is.
yeah, I keep seeing a man like walking back and forth. And I think I've heard, like, I think, I don't know if that's correct or not, but maybe a hanging right there, like on that thing. Like, it was really, or someone jumped. I'm not sure which one it was.
So if it's I believe if it's the wagon gate that you're talking about, the archway that you drive into to go into the penitentiary.
Yes.
So that used to be the place, the gallows, if you will, where they would hang. They only hung, I believe it wasn't that many, if at all. It was just one individual, if not just a couple. And it was inside of there. There's like a drop door that's still there, I believe. And yeah, that's, I believe, where they had it at.
Okay, that would make sense, because I was like, I'm always like drawn to that. Like, it just gives me like just shivers every time I go through it.
Yeah, like that. And that's like, so as you've been there, you've been inside, at least where the grounds were behind the, on the property. There's that wall that is like a barricade, from the other side where, it was the rec yard, where it was the, where people would go, like the chapel is back there. The doorway to the hole is not there. That's on the other side. I'm thinking of the sugar shack. And
I've heard not to go in there alone as a woman.
Do not go in there alone as a woman.
That's what I've heard.
Be protected if you were to go into the sugar shack. It's intimidating, and especially if you are on investigation. Last year, that part of the investigation I did not like, because of the quote unquote experiments that were going on inside of there. I think that from being intuitive and to understanding the severity of what type of spirits do like to hang out there, if someone is more sensitive or more vulnerable to energies, they can easily be targeted inside of the sugar shack. So that's where I always tell everyone, please be protected. Believe it or not, I would say to be more protected in the sugar shack than in North Hall. North Hall is where the segregation, like the worst of the worst, are at.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
And the sugar shack was, I don't remember now. I know someone told me once, like, that was the place where they went to. Was that?
So whenever it was
like
during winter, or when there were bad storms happening outside, that would be their, like, instead of going outside to the yard for their
indoor
rec room, it would be an indoor area. But the bad thing is that it was not always, if barely, monitored by a guard. So they call it the sugar shack, because there were all types of things that went on in there, if you kind of get my drift. So that's just something to be aware of.
Wow. Now, was this an entirely male facility, or was there both male and female there?
I want to say originally started out male, and then there were females that were there, but I don't remember if I'm getting my history mixed up on if it started out male, female, and then went to just male, or vice versa. I honestly am not entirely sure, but I can try. I don't like to look up the history of places.
Yeah.
Just because I like to see what I get from different things.
Kyle says he's like, hey, got to get you out to the White Hill Mansion.
Yes, I have
I
never
want to
been there.
too. Yes, I would love to do that one.
Have
So
you been there
Roxanne
before?
says, no, I have not. Roxanne says torture, sexual molestation, so
Yep.
sad.
Yep.
Kyle, September 21st. Are you doing anything out that day? Because I will be in the area. I don't know if there's
I
anything going on that night.
Are you um are you doing the psychic fair at Selma?
No, I'm doing the psychic fair in New Jersey that day.
Okay, that's right.
So I'll
Um,
be traveling back. Yeah.
gotcha. So I will be at Selma that day.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Actually, both again, mom and I will be there. She'll be doing um tarot readings, I believe, and then I'll be doing my oracle and mediumship readings there too.
That's awesome. Selma is amazing. I love Selma, and I wanted to do that event, and I wanted to do the New Jersey event, and I had the dates wrong. I thought Selma was the weekend after, and this was and I had them all messed up. So I booked and paid for the psychic fair in New Jersey, and then was like, oh no. So I kind of like double
Yeah,
booked, and I felt bad. So I
that's
had
the
to go to the one I
unfortunate
already paid
thing.
for.
And this is something that I think I actually had made a post about, not to be a little controversial right now. I'll just kind of
No, it's fine. Go
say
ahead.
my piece and be done.
As long as
Um,
it's not politics, I'm okay with
nope,
controversy.
it is nothing like that. So this is my thing that I feel, and I um actually am really doing at this point is there are no, in my opinion, updated legitimate event listings for paranormal horror and metaphysical events that one can reference for this
Yes.
field, because you have, like conflicts with this. Obviously, they're not that far apart from each other. But
Hmm.
it is what it is. Conflicts do happen like that. But then, you have some other events that like to stay with their weekends, but obviously, there are other events going on that limit things. And as you know from my day job of being an assistant promoter for doing conventions and events,
Yes.
that's something that's like number one that you have to pay attention to. So that's kind of what is going on. And that's kind of like a little cat out of the bag, if you will, is that I'm doing that.
I
I
do a
can
lot of
speak.
the holistic, yeah, I do a lot of the fairy festivals and stuff like that, fairy and that whole world. I don't know what you would call that world, cosplay world,
Yeah.
not Comic-Con, but the fairy world. I call it the fairy world, but there's other things. Um, and they have there's listings of all of the fairy events, of all the
Yeah.
different events and stuff like that. So,
And like
yeah, that would be nice.
there is an event listing website called FanCons. They
Mhm.
always like they do mainly like anime, comic, horror, uh music, I believe, like all different type of festivals and conventions that you can submit your stuff to, and they put it up there for you.
Mhm.
Um like there are sites that are like that. And the only one I will say that I remember when I was doing my convention here in Williamsport, there, Dr. Brian Parsons on his website, he would go and he would do that for, people who wanted to kind of have a little bit of, extra advertising for their convention. He would
Yeah.
have a page on his website, which I thought was very nice. I'm not entirely sure if he still does do that, but I noticed that years ago, like 2017. So shout out to him.
I know, and I think that's good. I think you're right about that. Is to have something. So you used to have a convention. Do we have any word
Mhm.
if there's going to be another? I know we've talked about this before, but
So I really can't say
say.
exactly because of different contracts and stuff that need to be signed for them. Um, but I will say that next year I will be having multiple events that I am promoting in addition
Okay.
to my job with the Hershey Comic Con.
Hmm.
I will be doing a couple other different ones. I will say at least I know one of them will be here in Williamsport. It's a 1 day, and then I have one that will potentially also be planned down in the Hershey-Harrisburg area. But that's all I can say. That's all I can say.
That's all you can say. So keep an eye out. More reason for people to go over and follow your page.
Yeah.
So that way you can get updates on all of these great things that is coming.
Yes.
So what are you speaking about this time at the Paracon this weekend?
Both my mother and I, we went to Europe in 2018. And we did an online lecture about a year later for an event where we talked a little bit about our intuitive experiences when we went to the Palace of Versailles in France. And then also what we both got while inside of the oh my gosh, this is horrible of my brain. Inside of the Colosseum, the Roman Forum, and then my biggest experience was when we were walking through Pompeii. So
I'm so connected to that place. Oh my goodness.
So that's what we used to speak about, but I'm very torn because while that's always very cool, I feel it would also be interesting to kind of share our experiences while we were investigating and walking through the penitentiary the past 2 years. So it's kind of up in the air right now, but what would you recommend us talking about? Because, or of course, how we kind of got involved with it and, our experiences in growing up and the haunting that we dealt with in my childhood home and such. Like there's a plethora.
I know, and I know that story. Like, yes, like I've heard that, but I don't know. I would love to hear your experiences walking through Pompeii and walking through Europe and walking, because I think a lot of it, we have so much over here. A lot of people know about things over here.
Yeah.
But there's so much history in Europe. There's so much energy over there. Just to hear about those things over there, I think that I'd be like, okay, I need to go see John and see this because but I have a connection to Pompeii. I've had visions of Pompeii for a long time. So yeah, it would definitely be something that would be on my list. What do you guys want to hear John talk about in the comments?
I will say this from the one experience, and I won't go into details because if that's what we'll talk about, then you'll hear more.
Heal. You just said heal.
We're going to heal. We're going to hear more, of course, at the convention, but I will say that the story that is traditionally told is not exact. It's not exact because of and I will say this, when we were walking through, there was a specific energy that I connected with. I have a picture of where I saw this energy, and with what was described, the story is not exact what they think. So that's kind of what, and the bad thing is that of course, there's no actual documentation because the only thing that you will ever find when you research Pompeii is what's, traditionally heard about the volcano and, and all sorts of things that were going on. But yeah, it's just a whole different ball of wax, I feel.
Yeah, I'm such a geek, but there was a Doctor Who episode. Do you watch Doctor Who?
No.
Oh, no. There's a Doctor Who episode on Pompeii. Just go look it up and watch it because it does a little different spin on it. And sometimes I think Doctor Who does a little different spin on things that we know as history. And they're like, oh, well, this is what really happened. So I wonder if it connects to what you saw. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, so one thing about me is I don't normally like to take like objects and stuff with me to like from places. And there was this stone that my mom picked up, and she's like, here, because we try to get stones from different places where we always go.
That's what I
And
do.
like I have a stone and ironically a pine cone from the Roman Forum. And I also have a stone that I got when I was inside of the Colosseum. But I will be honest with you, I'm trying to find it. It's over here somewhere on my
I knew you
phone.
were looking for it. You're like, where is it?
Um the I know that they are obviously they're over there. But yeah, so she picked up the stone and I had it with me. And I had it, of course, when I was visiting in the Riviera. I think like I got different sand, and their sand over there is completely different than how ours is over here. It's more like pebbles, like literally,
Mhm.
like legit pebbles.
Oh, like there's not a spine.
Right. And they're
Yeah.
almost like about the same size of like the rocks, the pebbles that you would have in like a fish tank. And
Oh, wow.
it
Okay.
depends. Like sometimes they're a little
Mhm.
bigger, sometimes and so on. But anyway, she had this stone, and I had it with me. I was going to bring it home, and she probably will still laugh if she sees this right now. Um, I got stopped at the Rome airport because I had everything in a bag, and they probably thought it was drugs. So they took the bag, and I was like, I
I got my baggie of
Stacy,
stones.
Stacy, you know how I am. I am a very calm. I am not a very like angry
Oh, yeah.
individual. I almost went
Not at
to
all.
Romandale that day because they obviously they kept it.
Seriously.
Oh yeah, they kept it. Like I
I
couldn't
could
take
never
it with
imagine
me.
you like that.
Oh, I was so mad because it had like stones from other places, like everywhere. Like I picked up a stone when I was outside of Versailles. That was in there. I picked up a stone when I was in Paris. That was in there. So it's like all of it's gone. But
Yeah, I'd been upset too. Yeah.
oh my gosh. But no, I mean that
So you never got it back? Like they
no,
just took it.
nope, they seized it. So
Yeah.
and I was so distraught. Like I'm not even kidding you. Um when I was coming back, obviously you have your bag that you check for them to go into like the carry on and like the oh like the actual undercarriage, the luggage, and then you have like your personal bag that you check. Um and so like I was going through my bag when I'm on the bus, literally coming home from Philadelphia to Williamsport, and there was this little bag of these stones from the day that I went to Rome in my other bag. So I do have obviously
Oh,
those.
you have the Roman
Um,
stones. Maybe those were the ones that were meant to be.
yes. So
Mm.
for what it's worth, I obviously, as long as it's absolutely okay and it is safe and you are not damaging property and it is okay, I explain this story, learn from my things as well.
Mhm.
If you go to travel and you go to check your bag if you're flying, please disperse your stones all throughout your bag.
Yeah, just put them in your pockets, jeans pockets or something.
Yeah, seriously.
S So I
So,
wanna that brings me to, like, I collect a lot of things from the forest and from the earth and stuff like that, so that brings me to, I wanna ask you, like, as a shamanic no, I can't say shaman yet, shamanic practitioner, I always ask if I'm allowed to take things. Like when I
yes,
take people out on excursions in the forest and they're like, "Oh, I want to take this home." I'm like, "Well, just ask the forest." And they're like, "How do I know what it answers?" I said, "Close your eyes and listen, and it'll tell you." Do you do the same thing? Like when you're taking like those stones, are you like, Is it
I
okay that I
try
take
to.
those?"
I try to.
Mhm.
In those instances, of course, as you grow and as you develop and you work more with your own intuition, I will be honest
Yeah.
and say that obviously every single time before when I was younger, not all the time. Of
Oh
course,
yeah.
when
Yeah.
you're doing sand on a beach, you're like, oh, I want to bring a piece of the sand back, blah, blah, blah. Not every time. And then
Mhm.
as I grew more with the metaphysics and more in understanding energy and how things are, and it's a give and take and so on. And when you work with one of my good friends, Cliff, he is also a shaman, and he really was very adamant on, no matter what you do, make sure you always thank, make sure you always ask permission, and make sure you show respect. He's also a
and give an
Mason as
offering.
well.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
he is
That's a cool
very
combination.
right. So he's very big in absolutely with the respect portion. And so now ever since then, that's what I always strive to do.
Oh, I know. And when we went to the Bigfoot thing, what is the first thing I did before we entered the thing? I'm like,
you hugged the tree.
Well, I know I hugged the tree, but then I gave, what was it, Reese's Pieces?
Oh yeah, because that's what Andy had. He's like, we're gonna do a peace offering.
Literally a pieces offering.
Yeah.
I like when my hiking bag, I always have peanut butter, I have pine cones, and I have birdseed, and sometimes I throw oranges or something in there. And I always, every time I go out and I'm hiking, I'm offering to the earth. But we did that night. I think we had beef jerky too, or something.
Yeah, I think Chris had. Was it Chris that had the beef jerky, or was it Andy? I don't remember.
I don't remember. I have no idea, but we did. It was like, we got to give an offering. But the energy did change when we did that offering. Do you remember?
Yeah, because I remember we were standing there. Things got kind of uncomfortable, and we didn't know why. Like the wind completely stopped. Like it just felt off. And then we did that, and then we
saw
were
those red eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, those were creepy. Though the whole lights and everything. And then when we were talking about how it was also like the Fae, when we were standing there, we were seeing like the blue lights and the purple lights, and there's no logical explanation as to why we saw them, but they were there. And
it's very elemental. Yeah.
Right.
Which goes to my theory. My personal theory is that Bigfoot is part of that elemental world, an interdimensional type being, which I believe elementals are interdimensional. That's my personal belief. I know there's lots of different theories out there, but no one can prove anything. So to me, I feel like they all are. That's why sometimes you can see them, sometimes you can't. I feel like they show themselves to us when they want to be seen.
Yeah.
Same with Bigfoot, but do you have a theory on Bigfoot? I know we've discussed this before, but I don't remember if you have one.
It's okay. I think it's the same principle as that. I think it's in one of they of course put it in the cryptid category, but I really do feel that it could very strongly also be an elemental type of energy because it's of the earth. And obviously, if there have been how many of these sightings of this creature, this elemental, if you will, potentially. Yet how many hunters have been out, and there's never been one that's actually genuinely been caught that I'm aware of. So
there's rumors that Stalin caught one during World War II. Like I don't know if you've ever seen that. Yeah, it was over in Germany, and it was like there was a whole he was a strong believer in what they called the Yeti. It was called the Yeti there, but strong believer in it. And I watched an episode somewhere once, and he had a whole crew of people that was going out and trying to hunt this thing and wanted to bring it back. But then, like, if you had it, wouldn't you show it?
Right. I don't know. I mean, I think that just like how UFOs are, and like, of course, you have the Wendigo, you have all of these other type of elemental, I guess we'll just say elemental cryptid like energies that people have visually seen. And I don't know if anybody out there has caught and saw the documentary. I believe it's on Discovery Plus of the Wendigo. Forgive me, I don't remember what exactly the documentary is called, but
you're not supposed to say the name.
I hear a screeching in the woods, I will not go outside. I do live in the Appalachian Mountains, so we're going to stay inside tonight. We're going to stay inside tonight.
You're not supposed to speak the name. No.
I know.
That's lore. That's
legend.
Say it
3 times, right?
Yeah.
But anyway,
Now we're talking a whole different type of demon.
I know. But no, I think
But
that, obviously there are different parts that need to be discussed. And ironically, not to get into the whole political stuff, there are
mhm,
some other individuals that are part of that sort of aspect of government that are interested in wanting to divulge a lot of that information because it's information that I feel is already known. And there are interviews of certain individuals who
yes.
do admit to wanting to disclose that information. So it'll be interesting
And
to
that's
see
not
how
really
that works.
political. I do believe it's governmental, but yeah,
Yes.
I'm okay talking about those conspiracies. Like that's
Yeah.
definitely something that yeah, I think there's things that we don't know. There's a lot of
Hmm.
things that we don't know.
Yep.
Um Cliff says he believes he's
Oh,
seen Sasquatch about 300 yards away. Like that's amazing. Cliff, I'm doing a Sasquatch special in November, I believe. If you would like to jump on and tell your story, that would be great because that's what we're doing. We're gonna get a bunch of stories. So
you
message me
should
if you're
do it, Clip.
interested.
So the guy that I was talking about that does the shaman work and who's also a mason, that's
Uh-huh.
him.
Oh,
There you
yes,
go.
that's right. I forgot. I know Cliff because of you
Yeah.
at the event at the undead. Do you know the applications are up for the undead?
Yep. I
They
just
just
got
came
an
up
email
today.
about that today.
Did you
Yep.
fill out your
I
application?
did not. Today has been very busy with work. So I will
Okay.
try to do that hopefully either tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon.
Okay. And that's right.
With a
That's how I
try.
know Cliff is from
Yeah.
you. You were like, I'm too close. And I do that too. I send people that I'm too close to other people. And like, can you help them? And I've been working with them a while now. And it's been, I'm definitely very grateful to have met them. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Cliff Cliff has been, oh my gosh, he's been in my life for over 10 years at this point, I believe. And obviously, long story short, he met my mom when they worked together. And,
Mhm.
you know, growing up, of course, he's a big car guy.
Yeah.
And with my brother being a
Went to the
mechanic,
races last weekend, I think.
yeah. So, with of course my brother being a mechanic as well, that's how they connected. And so, like, we would
Okay.
go. I remember taking a couple trips with him to a couple of the um, junkyards and kind of looking for some parts and different things like that. So it was fun. Yeah,
Yeah. He's a cool guy. Um, I know we got off of the whole metaphysical thing and onto like the
it's
elemental. I guess
okay.
that is still metaphysical. But when we were talking about like how some of these cryptic creatures and how they could possibly be elemental, I couldn't help but think in my mind, is Mothman a fairy? Think about it.
Would he be the king of the Fae?
Would he be king of fairies? Mothman? Because the depicted images that we see of him, it's very fairy like.
Yeah, that's interesting. Stacy, you're blowing my mind tonight.
But see,
I
you and I
never,
think on the same level, so I
I
knew that
never
this would be it.
connected the dots though.
Mhm.
Do you
Neither
know
did I
who would?
until tonight. I never thought about it before until tonight, just to
Do
say
you
that.
know who would actually take this idea and like fully go all in with wanting to know more?
Okay, who?
Steve. Steve.
Oh, where's Steve Dills?
I know. I know. No, he would go all in because he is a big researcher type of guy. So
Oh, totally.
that'll be
Totally.
fun.
I'm gonna message him right now.
It's just be like, do you think Mothman is a fairy? And just leave
Watch.
it at that.
And I'm actually I'm horrible. I have dyslexia, so I have to talk, so you guys are all gonna hear me. Hey, I was just wondering, I have this theory. Do you think Mothman was a fairy? Is a fairy. Let's do is.
This is
And see
too
what he
funny.
says.
But no, I mean, it makes a valid point because obviously it's the same body structure, the same everything. Just one could be a different type of fairy, just like how you have different type of humans, different type of nationalities, different types of, you know, personalities, skin tone, this and
Exactly.
that. Like, I wonder if that is a possibility. Interesting.
I want, like, I'm really like this is the first, like, I literally first time it came up tonight. So then if you start thinking about some of the other possible cryptids,
Right.
like we have dryads, you have is an elemental.
Mm-hmm.
So is Bigfoot a dryad? I mean, I know they technically don't look like it, but when we're seeing Bigfoot, he's always like right by a tree, and then there's gnomes. Like I'm thinking the Jersey Devil, like what could sorry,
Yeah.
I'm totally
No,
making
like
connections now.
like would Loch Ness be a form of like a water giraffe, or would it be like a different type of, turtle or alligator or,
Mhm.
crocodile, those type of different things? Who
So can you
knows?
see these pictures of Mothman? Am I sharing my screen?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so look, there's Mothman. Like what? Yeah, it looks like
Listen,
a fairy.
listen, all joking. This is a total joke here. Mothman is just a really involved gothic fan. It's just a gothic fairy.
Gothic fairy. Well, I do fairy festivals. There is the dark fairy realm.
Yeah.
Like there are dark fairies that help. Like there's a lot of different theories and myths around what dark fairies do, but they help the night. They help with the things with the night and the darkness and the moon but they also help carry souls over. Like I wonder if there's people that have seen Mothman and then have had stuff happen to them, almost
Yeah.
cursed, but um almost, and had things happen to them if it was just their time and then that was part of their debt, like dark fairies help pay back the karmic debt
Right.
I can't talk either.
It's okay.
So Susan says I'm a believer in the Appalachian, I can't say I can't say it the other way.
Appalachian
Appalachian
Trail.
Trail being home to many cryptids and unknown creatures. The cave system and mountains are perfect place. I totally agree to that. Like there has been so much things that have happened on the Appalachian Trail I said it the right way. Okay.
There
Appalachian
you go.
Trail. Um, that like there's books and books and books.
Yeah. And there are even,
Honest. Yeah. Good.
of course, where I live, there are a lot of other different theories, of course. Like there are Bigfoot sightings here. The
Mm-hmm.
UFO highway apparently goes straight through Williamsport, where I live. There's so much that's really involved with it.
Are you doing I keep getting emails about it. The Carbondale, is that it? Carbondale Festival this year. It's like the anniversary of like the alien encounter.
I
Um,
honestly, this is my first time hearing about it.
it's Wyoming Valley Ghost Hunters, and
Okay.
they are doing the Carbondalian Festival, and it's like the 50th year anniversary or something of the crash of the supposed, like, because they say that is like the Area 51 of Pennsylvania. And there was a big
Okay.
crash there and all these sightings and stuff like that. And I keep getting emails of whether I'm going to be a vendor or not. So
When is it?
it is November 9th.
I I am not. Um, the only thing that I personally have going on in November is the Mannheim Comic Con. That's it.
How far is Carbondale from you?
Let me
Oh, it's up
see.
past Scranton.
Yeah,
Probably about
which
2 hours.
Scranton is an hour and 40 door to door.
Okay.
Uh, E2 car.
So it'll probably be
Not
sorry, guys. John
Carbondale,
and I get
Illinois.
together and we just talk like we're hanging out. So,
Yeah, 2 hours. Yep, just right
okay.
above like Clark. It's probably actually right above Clark Summit. If
I'll
I'm
send you the
not
info. I'll
mistaken.
send you the info. I still haven't decided, but I'm thinking about it because,
That'll be interesting.
we're totally into the alien stuff. So,
And you know what? Depending on how things go, heck, it'll be fun just to go.
mhm. It's something different, right?
Yeah.
So Shauna
So
asks, is there any factual evidence of the Squatch? I'm clueless to this stuff other than speculation. So you go ahead and answer that first, because I think we probably know the same thing.
So there are different, there of course are many videos out there of people who they believe that they have visually on video caught glimpses of either the Sasquatch, the Yeti, what have you. There are others who have been more up close and personal. I know my teacher, Sarah Lemos, she was at a Bigfoot festival, I believe, up in Oregon. And there was somebody there that had a piece of fur that they had claimed came from a Bigfoot. And they actually had Sarah do psychometry on the hair.
Yes.
And
I just love her.
Forgive me, I don't remember exactly all of the details that were involved, but I know that there were interesting parts that he was tapping in on with the, of course, with the fur in the certain situations. Other than that, I'm sure there, of course, have been other audible things. You hear, of course, the different theories of knockers or, hearing the yells, the screeches, and so on. I think that at the end of the day, with the way and how that energy works, and this comes back to our theory of potentially being an elemental, is does it want to actually be seen, or does it pick people that it wants to show itself to, honestly, just like a spirit?
Yes.
So that's my theory.
You and I have had a lot of conversations. Some people really think it's a biological creature, a living thing. I don't know if I believe that. I'm not, if they prove it, then I'm not going to deny it, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There isn't. I just, that place that we took you to, that we did the squatching, with Steve Dills. I had 2 other experiences there before that. And no, I had one, and then I had another one afterwards, but I had rocks thrown at me twice. My daughter and I, there was a sighting actually right after we went. Actually, I don't know if Andy had told you this. Right after we went, there was a sighting by some campers that were camping there, and Game Commission and everything came out. They were thinking it was a bear, and so, but it never got aired anywhere. No one ever talked about it. So I ran down there that day with my daughter, and we went looking for some things. We found some things that we thought we possibly could look at things, and then look like something. And then as we were leaving, a rock gets thrown at my car. And we started to get freaked out because there were some things going on. And then, so a rock gets thrown. I have filming of this whole thing, but I never edited it and put it together.
You should.
And then I guess a couple weeks later, we took a group down there and we did this. Yeah, this was afterwards. We took a group down there and we were doing we lit a fire in one of the fire pits that's down there in the campground. We were just sitting around the fire. I'm like, if you're looking for him, he's not going to show himself. So let's just pretend like we're camping and we're lighting a fire and we're having a good time. So we were doing that. And then, Gary and Andy went off into the other part of the woods to go do some stuff. And I was there with some other people, and we already had some really weird experiences. And we kept hearing these rocks being thrown. And I'm like, oh, that's them. They're messing with us. So I went out there. What are you guys doing? They were nowhere to be found. And then way up, like a half a mile away, I see them coming around a corner. And the rocks are still being thrown at me from the opposite direction, like at me. It landed right in front of me, a rock, and there's nobody else around. So to me, like, I know that's not factual evidence, but who's throwing the rocks?
Yeah. Unless if there's, for some reason, like another camper, that's the only thing that, I could even potentially consider.
But those little campsites are right around the parking lot. There was nobody up there when we were there. So
it does.
Shauna says, sorry.
You're good.
It says, Shauna says, so basically as paranormal skeptics until you experience it yourself. Kind of. Yes, it really is. There is a lot. I did, while you were asking that question, there has been, what started this all, basically, I guess started like there's been legends upon legends in Native American cultures of this creature covered in fur that lives in the woods, and it's been documented for ages, but the first actual video, I did pull it up, and I don't know if we're going to be able to see it, but let's see. This is the actual first video. Can you see that?
There we go. Now it is.
Yeah. They say like this was the very first video evidence of Bigfoot, this guy right here. And that's it. Just a little quick thing. But then again, it's still up to, could have been someone in the suit.
Yeah.
You know?
There's so many different things that's why I say until eventually you have someone who inadvertently, unfortunately, because of it will make their millions of dollars, they finally capture one and bring it and say, this is not a bear, this is not a man, this is a freaking Bigfoot. Until then, there's so much speculation and so many different things and so many, things that we can kind of, if you will, debunk, whatever it is.
There's no scientific fact. So before I address the comment, or you can look at the comment, what did I first tell you what I thought Bigfoot was?
Yep. Yep.
Right. Exactly the same thing you're saying, Susan. I believe that the Native Americans or indigenous, the original people of wherever you see this at, like invoked it as a spirit guide, as a forest protector, as someone to protect the land. I really do. I really strongly feel about that. So thank you for saying that, Susan.
Yeah. No, normally, see, this is really fun. This is a different type of, I'm worried about the first person that does that. I know. Me too.
Well, but I can't kill anything. So ask Shauna. I can't even kill a fly.
Yeah, I mean, this is really interesting because normally, of course, with these different type of shows, of course, us both being mediums, us both being intuitive, we always talk, of course, about like how is it when you're connecting with spirits and what was your first experience and so on and so forth. You probably heard my dog barking. I'm sorry. Not sure what's going on, but okay. You
always have kind of weird things happen to you when you're on podcasts.
Every time. Of course, normally we always talk about, the woo-woo, the spiritual, the, living now passed over spirits. It's always cool to actually kind of talk a little bit more in depth about the other types of ways on how,
I'm not laughing at you. Sorry. Sean's comment. I'll tell you in a second. You finish your story and then
there you go. Live their best lives too. But it's always cool to be able to get to experience and talk about all sorts of different things. So,
nice. and I want to, my podcast is about let's flow, and I don't have a structure. I'm like, oh, we're going to talk about this. My idea was like, oh, I'm going to talk to John about spirit guides, but we did that last time, and I'm like, I'm just going to go with the flow. Where does this conversation want to go? And I followed that, and this is where it wanted to go. So I appreciate that. I mean, it's all metaphysical, right?
Yeah. It always comes back to energy, right?
Yeah. So the bugs had just lived their best lives, and she's got all those laughy faces and then splat. So we were at the Hoover house, not last week and week before last, and Shauna was there. Shauna is Holly's daughter. Do you know Holly? Do you remember Holly Cataldo?
I'm going to be honest with you. I am great with faces, but I am terrible with names, and I feel so bad sometimes.
Holly's the one that passed away, the little blonde lady, like so much energy.
Okay.
She passed away. She used to go, you've probably known her from the bash. She was always there, sitting outside smoking her cigarettes, talking to everybody. She was just very welcoming to everybody. And this is her daughter. So I would love to introduce you guys sometime. It'd be great. We'll take you squatching, Shauna. But we were at the Hoover house 2 weeks ago, and we were all sitting outside, and there's a fly, and they're like, damn flies. And I'm like, Gary's getting ready to like squash it. And I'm like, no, it's living its best life. And they tore me apart. They tore me apart because I wouldn't let them kill a fly. And I will never live it down that I said that the fly was living its best life.
But now, but wait, Wait until it's a spider, and not just a little tiny spider. No, I'm meaning like one of the honkers, like the furry ones that can eat your soul. Yeah, then we'll talk, right?
I love spiders. I have friend spiders that live in my house.
I will be sure to try to package up all of the spiders in my home, and you send me your address, and I will personally deliver them all to you.
But you know what? I have to admit this. The other day, like I got some bananas from Aldi's, right? And some fruit, and I have a fruit basket. This is on my thing, and I came home and I unloaded all the fruit, and I was putting things there, and I had people over, and we were just sitting around the kitchen island, and we were talking, and this spider that I have never seen before, like it wasn't a spider from here, came, and the first thing I did was like, boom. I literally killed it, and I'm like, what did I just do? But you've heard of those like deadly banana spiders that come in the
Yeah,
bananas. I just Shauna, I killed a spider. Um, yeah.
but no,
So
I mean, ugh, nope. You let me know. I will have them on your doorstep quicker than you can say, spider.
I do. I absolutely love spiders. I was talking to Shauna the other day. She has a farm. She has pigs, chickens, all this stuff, and it just looked like Charlotte's Web. And I was like, "Where's your spider?" And she's like, "I don't. We don't let them live their best lives here." But Susan said about the dog barking. You were talking about cryptids, and now the dog is barking. So
Who knows? I live in the Appalachian Mountains.
you
I did
do.
say the
You
word
do.
Wendigo earlier. No, I don't
Exactly.
want
You
to.
hear
I
any
don't want to put that
whistling?
out there. Please, I
Don't
no,
put it out there. Let's clean
no.
that. Cleanse it. No, no. Um, so have you had any experiences living where you're at? I know where you're at. Have you had any experiences? I'm not just talking about cryptid, but with maybe like that land spirits, elementals, things, older things that aren't just like when we go and we kind of can understand, like, oh, we're at this prison. These are inmates that used to be there.
Yeah. As far as like where I live, or just kind of in general.
Okay. How about in general? Not even just where you live, but in general. Yeah.
Well, I will say this. Where I live, there's a lot of native culture that is around here.
Mm.
There were, of course, the Susquehannocks. I live right along the Susquehanna River. Um,
Yeah.
that was one of the main, Native American tribes that were here. There's a whole history involving the Plum Tree Massacre that happened here. So a lot of
Mm.
that energy is really embedded into literally into the roots of all the trees, the ground. There is said to be a curse that is over the Williamsport Valley, the Susquehanna Valley, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
as far as that goes, me experiencing different things, there are a couple different locations that obviously are outdoor. They are more involved with the native side. One of them was actually a friend of mine, which you may have met her at the bash. I'll give a little plug here. She wrote a book called Haunted Freedom. This is Sabrina Beakley here in Williamsport. Um,
No, I don't think I've met
the
her.
She and her family dealt with this haunting that for many years, where it was a home that was on top of a property where there was a whole bunch of native land. There was, I believe, a cemetery that was there. It was just all sorts of things that are embedded into the ground, embedded into the land, that really affected her situation, her haunting, and their whole lives. And
Mm.
I think if you add the tragedies that happened with the massacre, in addition to what was going on there on the actual property, it developed more into this hodgepodge of manifested spiritual gunk, if you will. Um, when it comes to elemental energy here, I really there are fae that are around here as well. I've seen them at my childhood home. Um, and there's different, it depends on where you go, really. The fae are more
Mhm.
prevalent. Of course, Cliff, he doesn't live too far from where I live. And he, of course, having experiences with Bigfoot here. That's also common here. People have seen Bigfoot along in like the Mosquito Valley area. And just
Okay,
there's,
that was the weirdest thing that just ever happened to me. Like, I'm watching, like, this shadow figure just came from here over the screen. I don't know if anybody saw it on the actual screen, or it was just like this. Ooh, that was weird.
I don't know.
Yeah,
See, we're
sorry.
talking about those sorts of things. That these are things I don't
Mhm,
normally, of course, talk about because I don't want to give it energy. Um,
mhm.
but as far as like to answer your question, there are different elemental energies. It just really depends on exactly where you go around where I live. Me
So are
personally,
you in town, Williamsport? I've been to Williamsport in town.
so I
We
grew
actually have
up.
an office there, my business.
What's that?
My business has where I work has an office there in Williamsport.
If I may ask, are you comfortable sharing the
Yeah,
business?
it's Marikey. Marikey used to be NHS, but now it's Marikey Behavioral Health.
Okay, I'm not too familiar, but I know that there is it newer to the area.
No, it's been there for a while. It used to be NHS Human Services.
Okay,
Let me get
I'm
this.
not too familiar, but where I grew up in South Williamsport, and that's where my childhood home, where I
Okay.
had a lot of the hauntings there that I experienced growing up. That's of course there. I currently live about 15 minutes north of Williamsport right now.
Okay. Okay. So it is near, do you know where Harvest Moon is?
Yeah.
It's right near there. It's on 3rd Street, Williamsport.
Okay.
So it's in town, close to the river.
Oh, okay. It's like in a little plaza,
Yeah.
maybe.
I think
Like the
so.
back
Yes,
there.
it's a little
It's like a
plaza. It's like
it's
a
like a
little business. Yeah.
like a brownish sort of building.
Yeah, brick. It's like in the plaza.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
I know
little.
exactly where you're at.
Yeah, it's right across from something. Welcome to something tavern. I'm looking at the pictures now.
Oh,
Yeah,
probably Fredericks.
Frederick's Tavern. Yep,
Yeah.
right across from Frederick's Tavern.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I've been to Williamsport. I went during COVID, and the town was dead. We stayed at the old city hall. It's now a bed and
Nice.
breakfast, and
Yeah.
that's pretty active.
Yeah.
And then we went and hung out at the cell block. Um,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that place was. But then the next day we went up to Loyalsock.
Yeah.
And that's where I felt a lot of the elementals, like
Yeah.
just driving up that road and the huge like rock formations. Like
Yeah.
I just felt like I guess it's probably a little more than 15 minutes outside of you, but close to that because it's more
Yeah. I
north.
mean, for if you really honestly want to experience more in-depth elemental energy, you would probably, so if you got that direction, I would suggest maybe outskirts of Montoursville.
Okay.
Um, or like Picture Rocks or oh, there is actually there is a trail that leads to a waterfall. It's called Jacoby Falls. That's right
Hmm.
about like 10 minutes from Montoursville that you can actually go and you
Yeah.
can walk it.
I think
It's
that's where I went to the waterfalls. I think that's exactly where I was at. Yeah. I
yeah.
think.
So that place, of course, if you would ever go and hike there, go in the morning, do it during the daytime. It's about a mile long, and people don't realize how long a mile is when you're walking on that trail. Uh, it's a very long thing, as you know, if you're doing it.
So I don't know if this is, I'm going to mention the comment here in a second, but as you were talking about that, something came up. Was this a story you told me, or is this something that I had a dream of, or is this and I don't know if this ever happens to you. You're like, wait, am I getting a reading and picking up something, or did someone tell me this before?
Yeah,
Um, was there a child in that area that was buried alive?
Probably. Well, are you talking like more recently?
Like in maybe 80s or 90s, there was a child, like they were hiding a child and
I
she was
honestly,
murdered
oh,
and they buried
no,
her.
no, I think you were, there is, see, I'm not entirely sure, actually,
I'm gonna have to
because
look
if it
that
was
up
during the
afterwards.
80s, then I'm not sure.
Might have, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was earlier than, maybe it was like in the,
So I will say
maybe it
there
was only
was,
like 10 years ago.
oh,
I don't know.
so there are a lot of, I will say, Williamsport, if you're going around and you're visiting, it's always a nice area to visit, to live here. It has its own tragic stories. Oh my God. But yeah, as far as it goes with the missing and possibly buried child that's alive.
Okay, that is in Lycoming County. Stillborn babies buried in unconsecrated ground discovered in Lycoming
Oh,
County. I don't know if I'm picking
yeah.
up. I don't know if I've heard this story before or not, and I
So,
just now I'm picking up
so
on
I
it.
believe what you're
Mount
talking about there,
Carmel. Yeah, good.
um, is in reference also to the Wildwood Cemetery as well.
Oh,
There is
okay.
a lot of unmarked graves based on stillborn children.
And that's what I
Just
felt when I was there. There was like a lot of kids that were just like dead and
yeah,
buried and not honored. Okay.
yep.
Okay.
So Mount Carmel is a little bit of probably about maybe 40 minutes if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Um, from where like in Williamsport, but the Wildwood Cemetery, it's the cemetery that overlooks the entire city.
Okay.
And there are a lot because of it literally being on the mountain. A lot of the older graves are harder to get to because of how erosion works,
Hmm.
and there are a lot of unmarked graves that are there for stillborn children. There's actually there's a Lycoming County history group, and there is this gentleman who has spent probably at this point a couple years working on trying to do as much research and digging up as much information on these different stillborn children and trying to do some sort of monument for them at the
Okay.
cemetery, which the cemetery is fully involved with. They're very
Hmm.
like they're also wanting to do it as well, and it's just a regular guy just working on
Okay.
doing it,
That's cool. Yeah. I think that might have been what I was picking up on.
and that
But I
only
did want to get
started
back.
maybe a year or two ago.
Okay. Maybe that's what I'm picking up on. And when I was there, I just felt like a lot of children just like, particularly I picked up on one little girl that was just that was buried there. And I don't feel like she was stillborn. I feel like she was older, but
Yeah,
you never know. Sometimes they present themselves as different ages. So
right, right.
um, I did want to mention Shauna. She mentioned we need to get John out to the new location for sure. Speaking of Native Americans, Shauna, you don't know how correct you are because I think you and I, John, have had conversations about. I don't want to tell you too much because I would love you to come out here.
Yeah, don't tell me
But
any of the experiences or history of it.
well, I haven't had any experience. I've never been there yet,
Oh,
but I
okay, okay.
do. The only thing I do know is like one of my guides that I use is honored at this location. And I think we have had the same conversation about this. It's an archangel. And that keeps coming up. So it makes perfect sense that you should come out too. Absolutely, Shauna. We'll make that work. They're out by Johnstown. I don't know if you like Raystown
Um,
Lake area.
okay.
Probably about 2.5 hours from you.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Hmm.
this is the also bad thing about living in Williamsport. Everything is at least 2 hours away.
Yeah, yeah. You're just
So
2 hours from everything. Hey, look at it like this. You're not 5. You're right in the middle of everything. You can go east or west.
yeah, there you go.
It's in Loretto, PA,
Okay.
which I
Let's
think is
see.
still outside of Johnstown. Shauna, do you have any updates? I mean, Shauna was on our podcast 2 weeks ago. She is one of my sponsors. Do you have any updates on that thing in Loretto, PA?
It is
I
exactly
would
two
love to
hours
plug
away
it.
from me,
There you go.
like on the dot. That's funny. But no, I mean, I'm always interested in wanting to experience other locations. I like to kind of be a test dummy, if you will, like being thrown in. Like I did that, of course, with West Virginia Penitentiary, like we were talking, and Selma Mansion. I did that there. The Haldeman Mansion. Oh my gosh.
That's near
Um,
me. The Haldeman Mansion, right? Is that the
yeah,
one in Columbia or Marietta or
like
Mount Joy
Bain.
or
I think
whatever?
it's in Bainbridge.
Bainbridge.
Yeah,
They're all the same.
yeah,
Yeah. They're
yeah.
all the
So
same.
I was there one time. I did that there. That's where. Have you ever been there? I'm assuming you've been there.
Oh, I literally can throw a stone at it across the river. So yeah.
There you go. Um, so I picked up on the young male that was there. I think his name is
hmm
Andrew.
hmm
Um, and then I was also picking up on the woman that's out in the summer kitchen. Also,
That's who I picked up on, the woman. And I do that a
she
lot. I do.
goes
Yeah.
back and forth, back
Back and
and forth,
forth.
back and forth in between the house and the summer kitchen
But the
all the
boy
time.
was sick, right? The boy was
Yep,
sick. Like they had, like, so she was stressed. She was constantly stressed and
yep,
just worried all the time. A lot of anxiety. I
yeah.
picked up on her. So, are you doing anything October 5th? Because there is an event in that area that is looking for vendors. And I think I might have saw him in here. It's called the Albatwitch Festival in Columbia. And they're doing they used to have a trolley there, and the trolley at Chickies Rock crashed and killed all the people in the trolley. So that you're going to relive that trolley tour without the crash, and at night and do that little haunting. Columbia has a lot of history, um, and they are
I
still looking for vendors. So
I will say this: I have an event on the 6th, so I
okay,
know. Um, this is funny. Sean actually was suggesting me to go to his one event, I believe, in Nashville on the
he
5th.
was asking me too, and I was like, I already am booked.
No, no, I've never been to Nashville. That's definitely a bit of a
Mm,
drive.
it is.
But no, I have an event on the 6th. Um, so I don't know if I'll be able to do the 5th, but Columbia is also where Daryl did My Haunted Manor, right?
Yeah, my holiday manor is there.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Just
hmm
make sure I have my
Yes.
bearings straight.
Samuel Miller Mansion. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So,
There's a
I mean,
lot of history in there.
yeah, I've never been there. Um, I know
I would
that.
love to see what you get. I can get us a tour of the dungeons. Like they're doing a tour that night, but like if you can't get there that night, let me know and I will talk to Rick Fisher and see if he'll let us in. Like they don't do investigations there anymore because some teams have made an absolute mess. But the Columbia Market House underneath has the dungeons, and they used to throw people down there and when they were doing bad things.
Gotcha. I mean, I'd
Yeah.
be definitely willing to try to do it sometime.
hmm
Um, as of course, as schedule permits, it allows me to.
I know.
So
All right. Well, we are getting close to the hour and a half, and I'm sure we're losing some people because they're watching other things on TV right now. Um, so, any final words, John, that you want to say before we get out of here?
I would like to say thank you to everyone who did watch and who watched the replay, and who are also listen on other platforms as well. Your support for the show and support for Stacy and support for all of the guests and myself really do mean the absolute world. Even if you were just sitting there laughing or just sitting there listening, it really does help out.
Mhm.
Um, some kind of final thoughts I always like to leave off is at the end of the day, please understand that you are valued and that you matter. What you experience, whether you are an intuitive or just an everyday person, you matter and you are valuable to everyone that's in your life. Some days may be hard, some days are great. On the harder days, make sure to love yourself a lot deeper and more emotionally than you would at any other moment. Take care for yourself, be your biggest supporter, and don't allow anyone to tear you out of what you're wanting to do with life.
Absolutely. Ashley, you have no idea how great you are. John is a great person. I absolutely felt drawn to him when I first met him. He is he's one of the true ones. You really are. Like you're honest, you are you're true to yourself.
I try
You
to
don't
be
believe it all the
real.
time.
I
You're
try to be
real.
real.
You're real. And that's so refreshing, because we don't get a lot of realness in this world sometimes, because people, and no fault to them. I think that, we get caught up into what should I be, what do other people want us to be, when we're like, I don't care, I'm going to be who I want to be, and I think a lot of us just need to get over that. We don't need to be anything but ourselves. So that's my final message. We don't need to be anything but yourselves. And thank you all for tuning in. Please go and follow John. Give him a like, a follow, and see what great things are coming up for him. Also, please go over, if you do not like or subscribe to the channel, go over to all of our outlets and please like and subscribe. And I appreciate it. And guys, don't forget, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You need to fill your cup first. Thank you all, and have a wonderful evening.